we're sitting in, I'd say, the most interesting sightseeing place in the world. There's no room like this. And what it is, it's a perfect workplace. And this is where Hans worked, and I was with one other workplace before this with him. And it's an environment like, first of all, if you can dream of an environment like this and then see it is extraordinary. We met. God, what year, buddy?
Oh God, League of Their Own. League of Their Own.
Whatever year that was.
Whatever year that was, when people still made movies about girls. We met after what hadn't been a very good screening of Penny Marshall's, one of her first cuts, and up in her office, and it was really doomy, and there was one guy. Well, there was Jim, and Jim was sort of the life of the party, and he had suggestions and ideas, and
I don't remember it that way at all.
Really?
I remember you with I remember I went in there. I was, I knew Penny a long time.
Yeah.
I guess I had done my own movies since
Yes,
before that, and I was there to give her everything I could, and I couldn't get a word in because this one guy was just not only saying smart things, but was I thought wildly outspoken. I didn't know who the hell he was, and he was really getting down about what the movie needed in a great way. And I thought he was like the world's best associate producer who has the bravery to speak up and save the ship. And it turns out it was the damn composer.
Well, I didn't know Hollywood form yet. I didn't know that after a not so good screening, when everybody sits there like this, you're supposed to shut up for a while and let people grieve. I didn't try to be like the smart mouth associate producer. It's just I come from European filmmaking where, it's always a small group of people sitting in the room, and everybody's voice is supposed to be heard. And one of the jobs that composer has is because, the first time you see your director is when he's full of enthusiasm to go out and shoot that movie, and then the next time you see him is after he shot the movie and he's been beaten up for months and months and months, and he's just like, a puddle on the floor, and part of your job is to remind him of those, what were those conversations? Why were we going to go and make this
I'm
movie?
just so thrilled I'm not the only one who goes through that.
No,
that you use plural
does.
is just so thrilling
No.
to me.
No, I've seen some really, people forget why they were trying to make their movie, and I think it's part of the job to remind, hey, we sat out to make this movie, and this was the movie we wanted to make.
American television's like that, where
Sure.
you have absolute community and everybody's, and anybody in the room and stuff like that, and you try and bring that in.
I think one of the reasons Jim and I like working together is because it is sort of collegial, and it is sort of, ultimately we're trying to support each other. I mean, that really is what it's about, because it gets really scary making movies, I think. It gets really scary playing somebody a piece of music for the first time, because while I hide behind language, which is the opposite to what you do, I can't hide behind music. So when I play you something, I'm naked, and it's terrifying.
I always think of everybody, no matter what the process in doing the music, I always think of, certainly for me, and I know a lot of people who work with you, just feeling absolutely secure. That's the one thing I don't suffer. I don't suffer people feeling absolutely secure in my presence. but I think everybody feels secure that you'll pull it out and what you go through. Which might be aggravating for
Hang
you.
on, did you not say somewhere on this movie that my insecurity or my panic made you feel good?
Yes, because I recognize that it was always not appropriate.
Right,
just working
right,
stuff, which
right.
you don't realize about your own. Your own panic feels like wisdom when you have it, because I think you always keep the ideal in mind. What the work's about, that the work's important, that you build a room so you can be private, that can welcome people.
The movie business has changed a lot, and things are a lot less private than they used to be. Jim and I worked on a movie together where we basically got reviewed at a preview, and it was a horrific experience. And it was a horrific experience out of no other reason than that it stopped you from doing the best work you possibly can do, because suddenly there are all these voices. And I try to work with filmmakers who are aware that the only way the film can get done is if we shut these doors and we're completely private. And we get to experiment, and we get, that we encourage failure in each other while we're doing it, because otherwise nothing new is going to happen.
Yeah, I think the only way to be private now is to stand naked in a crowded room.
Absolutely,
So that
'cause
people,
no-
it's like
yeah.
a nudist colony.
Right.
People get tired of looking.
Exactly, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no. And I know directors who sort of, in one way or the other, actually figured out how to do that really well.
I'm not facile musically at all. And it's just, for me, the only thing I can be sensitive about, I think, or knowledgeable about at all, is tone. The search for tone of a movie, the search for what you're after. So I think there's no way I can be of any help in terms of the music itself. I can be of help of, in our discussion of what we're looking for here, what we're trying to say. We talk about character. I mean, Hans is totally involved in script. I mean, he's just knows the script. He knows the script. We've talked about it. I don't think that's commonplace. I think to try and the way he reads a script, I'm sure he frequently finds himself revealing things to the writer of the script. That must happen to you all the time. Yeah,
it does. But I mean, but that's supposed to be the job,
Yeah.
I mean, but again, I think that comes back from, I started out at working title pictures, and the first thing we did was My Beautiful Laundrette, and sort of nobody really knew how to make a movie. Well, Stephen Frears sort of did, but I think it was Hanif Qureshi's first screenplay, and I remember the note he got back from Channel 4. You can't spell, but you sure can write. It was, it was great. But it was always. How do you have the conversation? The only way you can have the conversation about anything at the beginning is about the words on the page. You can't have a conversation. You can't have a good conversation about music if you get technical. Should we be in C major for the duration of the scene? What about a little waltz here? What's it? That it means nothing. But the only thing that means something is the word on the page. And the thing that thrills me the most is to work with writer-directors, because it's a very different thing, because you know that what you read is the truth. You know what you read is the movie that somebody is going to make. And if I don't work with writer-directors, I usually don't read the script, and I just go to the director and I say to him, I mean, which I've done countless times with Ridley Scott, for instance. I say, okay, come on, Red, dinner. Let's go out for dinner. Tell me the story. Because then I suddenly know what's in his head. And with Jim, I don't have to do this. I still do this, and we still go out for dinner. But it's a very different thing. A writer-director is
Boy, it would be the perfect documentary on composing would open with that conversation between you guys. And that would be great.
Yeah, and I mean, look. I mean, I've had the truly good fortune of working with. I mean, can I just be a fanboy? I love working with Jim, because what is on the page is complicated and provocative, and it's difficult for a composer to get hold of, because part of what Jim's lines do is they dictate the rhythm of the music so much, far more than anything else. Because usually at the beginning of the paragraph, you're in one mood, and by the end of the paragraph, you were laughing at the beginning of the paragraph, and by the end of the paragraph, you're crying, or vice versa, etc. And part of our conversations, I remember, on As Good as It Gets, after that first preview where they laughed and they absolutely loved the humor, etc. And we're sitting in the car together, and you said something like, "Well, it's a good comedy. Maybe I have to give up on some of the emotion." And me just going, "No, you can't. No. That's my job. That's my job to go and and we support each other." And I think people think making movies is a lark and it's just sort of easy, and we're really lucky to do it. And all of that is true, but it's very personal. And you only get to make this movie once in your lifetime, so you better kill for it. You better throw everything into it. And so I think that's and this isn't just sort of passion. I think it's just it's very important that movies